Hi, everybody. It's Tito Santana here. Just a quick programming note. We had a really long episode, wonderful discussion with Warshack. We decided to break it into two different episodes because we are already planning on taking next week off. So the episodes will be part one and part two. We appreciate you listening, and we look forward to seeing you when we get back from vacation.
Welcome back to Bread and Butter. We are the Hearthstone podcast where we're serving up the basics for Hearthstone improvement. And this week, we have Warshack. Warshack, how are you doing today?
Yo, what's going on? I'm doing all right. Hearthstone's been a little rough, but we got a new expansion on the rise, so it should be I'm really looking forward to that. So
And Tito, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking, Doc. So, Warshack, I say Hearthstone's been a little rough. What have you been doing inside Hearthstone that's been so rough?
I mean we did a little twist and that's been I thought they would mess with the quest a little bit and they didn't. So that's been a bit broken. Interesting format they choose to be first. So Twist hasn't been as great as I think it could be. I think Twist in a couple months when they actually pick a format that isn't what we just got out of, right? Will be really fun. And then Standard itself, we're like right on the peak of a new expansion, and that's always when the meta is going to be the most boring. And that's why Twitch chat's saying like, "Oh, Hearthstone's so boring right now. The meta is stale." And it's like, well, yeah, when you're a couple weeks away from a new expansion, it's always that's the time it's the driest, right? Because we're not going to get a balance change. We're not going to get any more cards until the expansion comes, and that's when we get new cards, new influx, new decks, new meta, and the imbalance changes after that. So we're just kind of in that portion of where like Hearthstone will be its driest, and I'm just like hearing all of that stuff, and it's just like, ugh, guys, we go through this every mini set, every expansion, every rotation. Like it'll be okay, it'll be all right. So.
Now, have you found a way to kind of, as so you're a streamer, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but have you found a way to make this time of the expansion cycle more interesting for either you and or your viewers? I know they're complaining, but like, do you have a method that you've worked out that maybe helps a little bit, or
Play a different deck every stream. Like I basically go through like maybe like 2 or 3 decks, and if I lose two, I'll just change decks no matter what. I'll pick 3 decks per stream. So I'll have like, let's say like Curse Warlock, Totem Shaman, and like Jailer Druid. And so I have 3 decks, and then whenever I lose two with whatever deck, I'll move to the next deck. Lose two, next deck. Lose two, next deck. So like I'm constantly like playing decks that are different, and I'm kind of just like weaving in and out. It keeps it interesting for me because I can't play the same deck all the time, and that's what I do when like things are tough. But normally, when there's like a lot of like new decks to play and there's like stuff to explore, like there's no new decks coming up with anymore. We've already solved this meta. There's plenty of stuff to build and tinker with, but right now it's really just like play the decks you like, do a like deck roulette type thing, and just keep chugging, keep hoping it's fun.
yeah, I've tried recently to make a undead aggro druid work. That didn't quite go so well, and also trying to mess around with the what is it, dead air cage head type stuff,
Ooh.
which can make for some interesting clips, and you can get some spectacular victories, but it is definitely not consistent.
No.
How about yourself, Doc? What have you been doing inside of Hearthstone?
Yeah, mostly just Battlegrounds, because when the Hearthstone meta gets the way it is right now, my overall enjoyments for Standard is like way less. I've played a couple more games of Twist, but BGs with like the recent changes they made with mechs being super overpowered and then just recently balancing the mechs down has been a lot of fun to me. And then even last night, like Storm Rage texted me and asked me if I wanted to play some games. So we played 2 really quick BGs before he had to go to bed because he's starting to teach again. And he's like 2K MMR above me. He's almost 8K. I'm like 6,200. I got third place, and I got third place with Terran Gorefiend, with mostly hero powering the not Death Knight, but the purple guy that whenever he dies, he gets +1/+2 or +2/+1 every time from undead. and then just did that with dragons, and was just enough. And then the second game couldn't really get like a solid board going, so I got a very quick 8th place. But
There you go.
it is what it is. How about yourself, Tito?
I have been doing that thing where I am exploring Diamond 5 through Diamond 1 and making sure that I cover that ground over and over and over again. It's one of those times where you think you find a groove and you get... So last night I had climbed all the way to D2 3 stars and it was a little too late. I'm like, well, I've been riding this Relic Demon Hunter and it's going good. I'll be fine tomorrow when I just finished up in the morning. And no, I just spectacularly... Today has probably been the worst day of Hearthstone I've played in months. And I wasn't even tilted. Like, I was just like, all right, let's just go at it again. I wasn't like I wasn't anger queuing. I was just like, all right, this is some variance, I'm already going down, so whatever, let's just make sure we get some reps with the deck. And nope. I started winning before stream though again, so I'm hoping that I can ride that through. But no, we're just trying to get there. Tomorrow night, the World BG League starts up. I'm in that again this year. We have I am now the team Hype Horizon team captain for that, because our previous 2 captains have moved on or aren't really playing Battlegrounds anymore. So we're gonna have Judge in there from our previous episode. He's gonna be on there. We're gonna have Peaceful Sea, who will be on our future episode, and still looking for our 4th person. But that's a really fun format because you work together, and we pull up each other's streams on Discord, and you can like talk and communicate and say, hey, I have a 2-1, you have a 2-1. Let's make sure we tie. Should I play these minions? You can feed them. You can try to milk things. It's a really interesting format. So we'll see how that goes. But Warshack, what do you do outside of Hearthstone? What have you been up to?
I mean, outside of streaming and Hearthstone and YouTube, there's honestly not much. The grind with like content creation is if you're not doing it, someone else is, right? So like most of my free time is like editing, making thumbnails, seeing what other people are doing, watching other streams, figuring out what they're doing. But like if I'm not doing something in relation to like playing games or making content, it's probably like bike riding. It's like a big thing for me. Like I go out and like bike ride to like the park that's near me, which is about 3 or 4 miles away, and then around the lake is like 2 miles. So I'll do like a couple laps. I'll bike ride there, which is like 3 or 4. Do a couple laps, go to like the brewery, get a couple beers, and then come back. So it ends up being like a 15-20 mile bike ride. I'll do that like once or twice a week, which is pretty good.
Awesome.
And then like I don't know, man, just hang out with friends, have cigars, hang out with my dog, go to the dog park, But seriously, like making YouTube videos and streaming is like 50-60 hours a week at least. Like keep like if you're not doing it, someone else is. That's how I view it, right? So it's just work hard now, rest later.
Yeah.
But I actually you brought up BGs, and so I don't like play BGs that much, but like it is by far Hearthstone's most popular format, like for sure. And I saw today that Hearthstone had posted quests are coming back to Battlegrounds with a few updates in patch 26.6.2.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, oh wow, tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't read it. I just saw the post, and I just know like quests in Battlegrounds I can only assume are like augments and TFT.
Yep.
For those of you who are familiar, and it just enhances gameplay. It allows you to be a better player, and it allow much more skill expression with things that you're familiar with, comfortable with, and are like you have like knowledge with. So like I was gonna ask how you guys feel about that. Like, are quests good? Like, you guys like quests and BGs? Like, is that like an exciting thing for you, or is it like quests are like they didn't do it right and it doesn't feel good?
Yeah, so I'm super excited. I love quests. And they're adding 3 new quests. So 3 new quests we've never seen before. They've adjusted some of the requirements for some of the existing quests. I'm not going to get into all the changes and what quests they're bringing back, because it's a giant list, because there's a bunch of quests that exist in the game.
Which is good.
Yes, exactly. And the fact that they're like bringing it back and giving us something else to do other than just board centric strategies makes me so excited, because like you said, it's another skill expression. It gives players that maybe can't play for stats as well as some other players another avenue to catch up to the players that can play for stats but also can play for quest. It's just whenever BG's has like throws in this thing halfway through the BG season, it is just always a feels good moment for me, just because it gives you another way to play the game and just makes it more interesting until they come up with the next thing that they're going to add.
I've loved everything about what they do with Battlegrounds. I know some people like some certain formats and other certain formats. Like with quests, well, with buddies, I'll start with buddies. Buddies, they've made some changes that made it a little less so, but buddies make for a linear kind of format where it's like, you want to get to your buddy, you want to do certain things with a certain hero and a certain buddy, and the better you are at executing that game plan, the better you are in those lobbies. And of course, you have to figure out what your opponents are doing and all that, but that's a very linear gameplay. With quests, I think they kind of solved what they missed with buddies, where it's now a bit more random, and it's like, okay, I just played this hero and I had this quest, but now I have this hero and I have this quest, and each time the way to get to that quest is a different approach. So sometimes you have to have minions die, so you try to get a lot of death rattle minions early. Sometimes you have to buy things, so you go for the economy, and then your quest rewards, depending on your hero power and everything, can really affect the gameplay. So I love quests. I think quests were awesome. I'm glad that they take them out, and so that you kind of can rotate them back in. And I really like what they have been doing about taking these older mechanics and not throwing them into a closet and then bringing it. It's like, okay, we'll do half a season of X and we'll do half a season of Y, and we'll keep things interesting. And if you don't like quests or if you don't like buddies, it's not going to be that long. You get some of it, and then we move on to the next thing when we release a new tribe or whatever like that. So I think it's pretty fantastic. And it'll be interesting tomorrow where we have that competition, like we're saying, our first round, and it's all a whole new meta, and no one's going to be prepared for it, which is a lot of fun. But no, I really enjoy that. Duck, what have you been doing outside of Hearthstone?
Yeah, so I'm actually going on vacation starting tomorrow night, which for listeners who are recording on July 10th. Tomorrow I am driving up to the Salt Lake area, and then Wednesday on the 12th I'll be driving out to Nebraska. It's my girlfriend's family's family reunion, but they're also celebrating her great grandma's 102nd birthday. And you hear 102, and I'm sure most people think a very old, feeble, a lot of health issued person. But the only issues that this specific great grandma has is she had polio when she was younger, and she takes a thyroid pill. Her health for being 102 is basically as good as you could ask for. Because obviously with human biology and everything, there's things that start happening when you get that old. But I mean, for all things considered, she's doing great. So getting her girlfriend's car ready for vacation, packing, doing all that kind of stuff. Waiting for my car to get fixed, because that's a whole crazy thing where I've had to contact like my state insurance board and a bunch of stuff, just because the warranty company that I have, because I literally loosened and tightened the coolant clamps on my car, denied my claim because I did self-maintenance. But then that also is against federal law that got passed in 2019. It was like the Mungerson-Mox Warranty Act 2019, which insurance and warranty companies can't deny a claim just because you performed self-maintenance if you didn't break anything, which I didn't break anything. And then I broke my toe last Thursday. Just being...
Hey, you said you didn't break anything.
on my car. I didn't break anything on my car. I was just being a goofball and was wearing flip-flops, and I hit a hard corner of a fridge at a Walmart, and my toe has seen much better days. So just wonderful way to start vacation, just breaking your toe a couple days before. But all in all, I've been good. I've been great. What have you been doing outside Hearthstone, Tito?
Well, a couple things, Doc. First off, I know you're saying your girlfriend's great aunt
Grandma.
grandma is in great health. I still wouldn't startle her. Like, don't like sneak up behind her and go boo. But you also were just recently on another podcast. You want to mention that real quick?
Oh yeah, Mad at Arms. I'm sorry I forgot this, everyone. Mad at Arms and Stormrage had me on Squelch, and that was a good time. Good guys over there. Love the show. Love the people. Thank them so much for having me on.
Nice. So to answer your question, I've really not done a lot. I got back from vacation, and now I'm in that post-vacation mode where I mowed the lawn finally after pretty much having no mow June. It's all right. It's been raining like nonstop, so there's been very little activity there outside. It's been, it was good for the. I'm now, again, I'm almost 50, so I always got to say, we needed that rain. We need this rain. It's good. But it has been nice. And outside of that, just, bringing my kid to Taekwondo and working and doing the thing. So I'm planning on trying to start ramping up the other content again. We have a new fight night that we're starting to get worked on. Actually, so Warshack was on one of our fight nights. He got to compete against Edelweiss in a deck building challenge, which was kind of, he was like, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, I remember I did that. How was that experience? Like, and you can be bluntly honest if you hated it, but like, I thought it was kind of a different take on doing something. What do you think? What did you think of that?
It was good. I thought for some reason I was thinking of the TNT Fridays you have or TNT Thursdays or
TNT Thursdays, yeah. TNT Thursdays.
That's what I thought you were talking about. I was like, I don't think I've ever competed. I don't do tournaments. Like I just don't like. Jesus, dude is losing his mind. He's excited about TNT Thursdays. 1 second, I'm so sorry.
You're good. So Tito, for our listeners that may not know, what is TNT Thursdays?
So TNT Thursdays. So we have 2 TNT Thursdays on for Hype Horizon, and they're basically free tournaments you can enter, and you win packs on them, and you get to be streamed and casted and all that. So it's a lot of fun. Like I said, they are free. If you just follow Hype Horizon on Twitter, you'll see us post about them. You can actually just message me. I will give you the information. But they're a lot of fun. They're easy to get into, and apparently Warshack's dog does not like them. But I would not call that an endorsement.
We're good.
Or an anti-endorsement.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good, man.
Oh no, we all have pets. Like sometimes our dogs interrupt. So we were just talking about that thing. So what did you think of that event?
No, it was good. I'm a deck builder. I like making off meta decks. That's what the job was, right? It was like build the best deck you can out of this shitty shit we give you. And Ron Sabotage will always live with me throughout that process. Every time I join that guy's stream, Ron Sabotage it is. He gave me some of the worst cards I think I've ever seen in Hearthstone, and I turned that into a crock pot of victory. And it was fun. I enjoyed myself. I mean, winning obviously feels great. If I would have lost, it would have been a terrible experience. I would talk. I'm just kidding. No. It was good. It was good. It was good. I had a good time. It was fun. Like anything different in Hearthstone. Like people always ask me, like, Rob, like, what does the meta need? What does this need? Do you like this balance change? This deck being good and this deck being bad? I don't like it. It's like, dude, at any point in time, you take Hearthstone and you add balance changes. You change the meta, you change the cards, you change the format, whatever you do to make Hearthstone not the same as it was the previous time I played it, and I have to use my brain to figure out what's now good, is a good time for me. So, like, no matter what the change is most of the time, no matter what cards they change, no matter what deck is good, class, format, mode, like, as long as there's constant changes, I'm good with it. And like being in a I wouldn't say a tournament, but like a one-on-one that had some sort of limitation that wasn't standard ladder is going to be good. Period. Like it's going to be different. So like I was down for it.
Nice. No, I only bring that up because I'm starting to ramp up with Dragon Rider, and we're going to be doing our next fight night coming up soon. So I hope to have some information about that really soon. But it's definitely going to be another different thing, and I'm very excited about that. But Doc, well, we're 20 minutes in. Why don't we get to know our guest?
Yeah. So, Rob, what started you in gaming, and how'd you start in Hearthstone?
So for gaming, I mean, I just been playing games since I could like reach my hand over the keyboard and mouse. As a kid, to be honest, like I don't know, video games just did it for me for the most part. Hearthstone in particular, I was a big fan into Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, Pokemon as a kid. Like regardless of me actually playing Pokemon, collecting it, you know what I mean? But Yu-Gi-Oh I actually played. But yeah, I played all those games as a kid. I played World of Warcraft, I played RuneScape, I played MapleStory, I played Guild Wars, every sort of MMO at the time, EverQuest, and then so when 2000, I believe 13, when the beta came out for Hearthstone, and I played WoW since vanilla, and there was a WoW card game, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll give it a go. Like, I enjoy Magic, Pokemon. I played Mech Assault tabletop, like,
nice
figures. I'm like, what, any sort of strategy game you could possibly play, I've played it, for the most part. And so yeah, for like a WoW card game, like, count me in. So I signed up for the alpha. I swear I played in the alpha, but Dan D Money Games tells me there was no alpha. I never played in the alpha. I'm lying. There's only beta, but I swear I played in the alpha. Anyway, beta, according to D Money Games. I played I played very casually. But a buddy of mine was like, "Hey man, like you're pretty high rank for like playing this game very casually." Like I didn't know what a meta was. Like back when there was no meta. Like it was just like play cards. There was no HS replay. There's no Firestone. That didn't exist. Like there is no meta. So he's like, dude, you're like getting to like Diamond 5, Diamond 2, Diamond 3 back before there was floors. He's like, you should make like YouTube videos and shit. I'm like, okay. So I started making YouTube videos. They did well. I don't know how. The titles, thumbnails is terrible. Just terrible. Like, oh my God. And it ended up working out, and that's where we started. That was the start of that. It's my buddy saying, hey man, you should do some. You seem good. Okay, man, I will.
Awesome.
Fair enough. And there was a closed beta and an open beta. Like, so I remember listening to the Angry Chicken talk about Hearthstone when I'm like, I'm waiting to get into this beta. And then they had the open beta. So that might have been kind of what the confusion was. There was it was very limited beta versus everyone could play in the beta. And it was beta for a while.
It must have been closed beta then. It must have been closed beta I got into.
So you answered the next question I had, which is how you got it into streaming content creation.
I'm sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. It was natural. It was great. Does your friend who got you into making content still play Hearthstone at all?
He actually never played Hearthstone.
Oh.
He's my roommate. His name's Tony. I've been buddies with him since elementary school, actually. And we started recently living together as roommates about 2 years ago. But we've been really close friends since. But he mainly plays Magic.
Okay.
So he's like very in tune with Magic. So Magic and Hearthstone, I mean, while they are different card games, they have tons of similarity. And if you're a very good Magic player, you'll be a great Hearthstone player. If you're a great Hearthstone player, you're going to be a good Magic player. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of goes hand in hand with like, you have to learn the cards, of course, but like, inherently, you understand the fundamentals of how to play a strategy card game.
Yep.
So while he may not play Hearthstone, I can tell him an effect, and he's like, ooh, that's broken. And then he'll tell me something, and I'll be like, ooh, that's broken. So we'll like just like go on back and forth each other about like the stupid shit that's happening in each other's card game.
Awesome. Well, glad your friend convinced you into playing a little bit more seriously and making some content about it, because the community's better for it. So you yourself have built your brand on being an off-meta player and deck builder. what drew you to wanting to play the game that way?
I don't think it's a like a want to play that way. It is because I cannot play the same meta deck like for 3 months straight. There are some players who can play the same 2 decks. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but they can play the same 2 decks, whatever the best 2 decks are or 3 decks are. They'll just play those decks for months over and over and over again. They'll be the best at those decks. And that's where you get those meta refined, nice finite decks that you see at tier 1, tier 2. I just can't. I can't play the same 1 or 2 decks, 3 decks over and over and over again. I need to I like to figure out, all right, what is the worst class in the game? All right, we'll take the worst card in the game for that class. All right, how do I turn this into a working thing? How do I make this terrible class and this terrible card that sees 0.1% play rate? How do I win with this? How do I turn this into some good gabagool? And then from there, I'll just try to win. And if I win and it seems to like get above a 50% win rate, I'll make a video on it. Cool. It worked out. Let me tell you though, a lot of the time I try to make these decks work and I'll go like my worst one. I'll tell you this. Don't tell anybody. I actually have a picture of it. I went 1-31 and I didn't think the deck was that bad. I went 1-31.
Did it have obelisks in it?
No. It had the 3 mana Warlock card that like discarded your hand and then put them all in your deck as 1 mana cards. But it was in standard when there was 0 discard synergy.
Nice.
It was a viewer submitted this deck to me and was like, Rob, make this work. And I was just hounding it. Man, I'm like, dude, I can get this. This is not that bad. And then after like 3.5 hours, 4 hours of me playing this deck, the chat was like, Rob, what is the win rate? Like, what are we talking here? Is there something to work with? And I'm like, bro, we've won quite a few games. This deck is feeling great. Bro, we were 1-31. There was nothing there. So yeah. Like,
Did you make a video out of that?
No, I literally didn't. I refused. I should have. I should have made a short of just all of the losses together. Like, guys, this deck is good. Loss. Guys, this is the win. Loss. Like, I should have done it, but I wasn't back when YouTube Shorts and, like, I had a TikTok and stuff. Like, it just wasn't during my content farm era, which is now. But yeah, like, that's what I do. Drive myself crazy. But it's fun. Like, that's what I find fun, is winning with shitty deck. If I can beat your tier 1, tier 2 deck with my garbage deck, I'm cashing in. Like, that is what I find fun.
Like, I remember seeing Mark McKenzie, however you say his name, Mark McKenzie.
Yeah.
Before I knew who he was and what he did, he posted on Twitter and somebody retweeted his like win rates, and he was like 4-275 and all this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I'll donate my coin conceded coaching to him this month. Like, I think he needs it. Like, how do you? And then I figured, yeah,
it's going for that 2% like crazy play. I mean, he does like the like I play like meme decks that are like bad, but they're like you can still play them. He goes for the craziest stuff. I mean, he goes for like the, you play a deck 1 out of 100 times, right? And then like the 1 out of 100 is where the deck does like turn 2 OTK. But like the other 99% of the time, it just loses. Like he's crazy. That guy is crazy.
I've actually, sometimes he gets almost a refined deck though. Like, I've taken a couple of his decks that I'm like, this is something I want to do. Like he made I have talked about this before, a Sunkeeper Raw Rogue. It was in Wild, and it was this combo.
Yeah.
And I won 50% of my games with that for a while. Like, it was legit good, and people had no idea it was coming. And I'm like, this deck is close to being refined. It's something that could be worth. So every once in a while, he strikes pure gold. But yeah, no, I was like, I really was confused before I knew what he did and why he was doing it. I'm like, this guy is a trooper. He doesn't give up. Good for
No,
him.
no. If the I mean, that's what his content is based off of. I mean, it's great highlights. Like, it's good. Like, no one else does that particular content right now. So, I mean, if you're one of one or one of two people going for the 1-2%, like in absolutely insane turns, you know what I mean? Like stuff that nobody else is doing. I mean, why not? Like, it's just content gold, and his videos prove it. Videos do what, 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus K views each video. I mean, doing this, it takes him a couple hours to do it. He may have a terrible win rate, but he's not trying to grind. He's not a tournament player. He's going for these crazy games. And if that's what he likes, then sure. Like, that's not my particular style, but if that's his, like, hell yeah, like, it's working. Let's go for it.
So Rob,
So our hold on, our next question. I'm just gonna jump in here real quick because our next question you've already answered too is like we've asked you how many hours you stream and like how do you keep things fresh, and you say you mix up the decks and stuff like that. Are you so a lot of people that stream, they only play the game during their streams and they're kind of tired of the games and it becomes kind of more of a job, which it is, but more of a job than entertaining and all that. How do you how does that work for you? Do you still like do you play Hearthstone when you're not doing content? Do you still enjoy it? Are you just like, oh, I got to play Hearthstone today. This is my job. How does that work for you?
So I do not play Hearthstone if I am not streaming. There's other game like I play Hearthstone enough that like I get my dose. I like games enough that I do play other games, just not Hearthstone when I'm done with Hearthstone for the day. I'll play like Diablo 4, World of Warcraft, TFT, ARAM in League. Like, there's just other stuff that I can spend my time doing that doesn't involve more standard or twist or whatever I happen to be doing. Not that I do not still enjoy Hearthstone though. Like, I am very, I don't like using the word blessed, but I am very fortunate that I can play Hearthstone as my full-time job, and like I enjoy it. Like, if I didn't enjoy it, like I do have a backup. So like I did go to college, I did get my bachelor's, I did get my master's because I didn't know how long streaming would work or if streaming would work, period. Like, it's not there's no instruction manual to do this. There's no route. There is no guide. That you could go to YouTube and type in like how to become a streamer, how do I get more views? All that's like, there's no, if the people who know how to do it don't tell you how to do it because they don't want you to know how to do it, to be honest. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, you got to kind of figure it out on your own. And there's no like, you put in this much work, you get this much output. Most jobs have, do this is your job requirement, you'll get paid this much, and this is your raise for the year, and this is where you can go in the future. Streaming doesn't have any of that. That is not on the path whatsoever. You can work harder, you can work smarter, you can make the best content you think you're going to make and do worse than if you put in minimal effort on something you thought up when you were drunk. It is an outrageous thing. So my point was, I had the backup plan, with the bachelor's and the master's, in case streaming didn't work out and whatnot. So, yeah.
wonderful answer. Thank you. What's
No, sorry,
you're
it's a bit
fine.
long and drawn out, but
Yeah, no, you're fine. That was a great.
That's what we're here
that was a
for.
great answer, and it was very. It was a real answer. Like, it wasn't like a fluffy answer. You know, it was like, yeah, I didn't know this was going to work out, so I did what I had to do to make sure my bases were covered, and then I was fortunate enough that people enjoy my content enough that now I could just get the opportunity to do this. Thank you.
We are an audio form. We are audio content. If we ask you a question, you're like, it's fine. That's not interesting. So, please.
So what's your favorite class in Hearthstone?
I have my most wins with Warrior. Back when, those of you who remember the Cthulhu Warrior, back in the day, the Zoth Warrior, Justicar Trueheart, tank up, spank up, baby, let's go. That was my. I have like, I think 3,600 wins just with Warrior. I think we just breached like 23,000 wins total over all classes. But Warrior is definitely my highest. And Yeah, like just control warrior. That is what I jammed. That's where I hit. I think my highest legend rank. I think we reached top 15 legend with control warrior back in the day. Whether it be like quest warrior with the Ragnaros hero power with the taunts, or the Cthulhu warrior where you had to play Tinkmaster Overspark to transform your opponent's Cthulhu so they wouldn't Doom Bringer it, or you had to Sylvanas and shield slam your own Sylvanas to take their
Hmm.
Cthulhu so they didn't Doomsayer it. I mean, there's so many just nuances in that matchup that made it so fantastic back in the day that made me like just love it. Like if you were control warrior versus control warrior, and you had hundreds of games under your belt, like you just won. Like you were just better. Like it was one of those things that was like you got rewarded for knowing it better. And there are very little, seldom to few matchups now that if you have the knowledge of that matchup under your belt and you play it out, regardless of draws, you will win. Like if you just are better at it, you just have hundreds, if not thousands, of games, and you just play it better. And there's Control Warrior was just one of the decks, and that's what I love.
But that's contrary to what you were saying before. Is like you normally hate playing that, so that must mean you really like that deck. Because you said I can't play a deck hundreds.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
games.
There
It
are
sounds like
seldom.
before you
There are
did.
very few decks that I can. Control Warrior is one. There are certain decks that like I fall in love with. That Control Warrior has always just been a deck that I love. Like I forever. I've always just ever since I started playing Warrior, that is a deck I can spam. But it's like one in few. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't. It's like the last time Control Warrior was I think when they brought back for like an event. They brought back Nazoth, right? And they brought back Hakar, the blood guy with the blood effect with Death Rather. I mean, what was that?
Was
3 years
that Dooms in the
ago? 3.5
Tombs?
years ago? Yeah, that was some crazy event that we've never seen before. That was 30 days long, and that was the last time Control Warrior was like an actual Control Warrior was viable because they brought back like Sledge Belcher and like Hakar the Bloodlord or whatever his name was, and Nazoth, and like I mean, there's been no true deck since then that I've farmed. That's how much Warrior I played before then. That was the last time it was good, and I have like 3,600 wins with Warrior prior to like 3.5
Yeah,
years
that's a
ago.
lot.
So,
So
yeah.
But how much time since then have you spent trying to make Control Warrior work?
Get a good amount of time, to be honest. I've tried Black Rock and Roll. I tried the Rifts. I was the first one to post like a video on the deck out Warrior with the what was it, like fires, and then the steam cleaner and Tony, like during the theory crafting. Like I kind of like pioneered that with chat. Oh, we did that. I'm the first one to anything new with Warrior. Like I'm on it. Like how good is Black Rock and Roll? How good are Rifts? Like they're not good. Okay. And Rage Warrior has been something they've been pushing forever. Honestly, I've never been a fan of Enrage Warrior. I just don't like. Garrosh Hellscream is awesome. Like, yeah, that's a cool thing. The location is cool, but just like I don't know. It's just like I like my Control Warrior, man. I don't know what it is about control games. And the closest thing we have to Control Warrior in this meta is Blood Decay. And I did do a Blood Decay deck. Everybody's running 40 cards. Let me tell you, you don't need 40 cards. You need 30 cards, and you just play 30 good cards. You don't need 40 with 10 bad cards in there with 30 good cards. You just want 30 good cards. And we hit like top like 400 legend on 2 different servers with a 30 card Blood Decay. And that was like the closest feeling I had to Control Warrior. And I played that deck probably about 200 or 300 games over the course of 2 months, I think. And we had about a 65 to 70% win rate with that particular deck that we homebrewed up, which is pretty insane.
What's your highest finish?
Highest finish at the end of the month, I think somewhere in the 200s. I've never tried to go for finishes, just because I will switch off decks to like I need to make YouTube content, right? So like, how good is Big Shaman? How good is Big Paladin? And we'll go 1-31 or 5-20 trying to make a deck work. It doesn't work, and then it's like all right. But we've had day one legends. We've reached, I think our best, like my best is like top 15 or something like that. I've made a free to play account and like tried to hit legend with a free to play account, and we did that in 1 week. You know what I mean? So we've done challenges, we've hit legend, we've hit top legend with free to play accounts. But like getting high ranks has never been a priority for me because it's just not in order to maintain them. You can get them, but to maintain them, you need to play a meta deck and you need to be very good with that meta deck. And I just can't play the same deck every day for weeks. It's not my style. It's not fun. Like winning with a deck that you know is already good doesn't provide me the satisfaction as winning with a deck that is actually trash.
So you kind of alluded to it, but is like Cthulhu Control Warrior your favorite deck of all time? And if not, what is?
Probably some form of Control Warrior, whether it be like back when Justicar True Heart and like you had to play Sylvanas in there and Tinkmaster Overspark, Cthulhu, N'Zoth with Sledge Belchers, the Hakar guy with the bloods that you would put in each other's deck. I honestly didn't like the, I can't think of her name right now, but she was like the 8 mana, add 5 cards to your deck, and then you discover them, and she would put 2 copies. Archivist, I think that was her name. That was
Archivist
the
Luciana? No,
yes,
Archivist.
that was the worst. That was the worst Control Warrior ever. Did not like that particular Control Warrior meta. Dr. Boomsday, good time. Omega Devastator, great time. Love that guy. But yeah, definitely Control Warrior is probably one of my favorites. I don't even know of another deck after that. Like I can't think of another deck I like would play as much as that deck. To be honest.
Yeah, thank you. You said you don't play a lot of BGs, but are there any other modes other than standard in Hearthstone that you enjoy to play?
I obviously tried Twist. Twist is new. We went from, I think it was a bonus of 2 stars, and now we have X10 in there the first month. I didn't hit legend, but dude, we had 3 days to hit legend, and I had X2. Like, there's no way. Like, there is not a chance. There's people that had X11 in this new format. So, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but we were not informed in the content creator program of how the bonus stars would be distributed in Twist. Like, it was just not a thing. No one said anything. So, they were actually distributed through Wild MMR, which was weird because they replaced the classic WoW, right? They removed classic for Twist. So, if anything, you would think that they would have the classic formats MMR inside of Twist, since that's the one they replaced it with, right?
Yeah.
Like, they swapped them. But they did not. It was your Wild MMR. So, all the Wild streamers had X10, X11. They're hitting. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss. They're hitting legend on day 1, day 2, and everybody's like, "Wow, you're amazing." It's like, well, the 12 players who play Wild, they act, they got the goods. You know what I mean? For Twist. But yeah, besides Twist and Standard, not so much. I did play Battlegrounds when it first came out though, and the first 2 weeks I was top 200 on the leaderboard. I did enjoy it, but I felt like there was going to be some repetitiveness, and it got a little stale. And honestly, Battlegrounds at its first wasn't flushed out. It was a mode based on basically pure fun. They tried to monetize it like crazy. They tried to basically make a game mode that was invented off of fun and try to like make as much money off of it, which is why we have the battle pass that you can't buy with gold anymore and all this just shenanigans with that. But I don't know, like Murlocs and Beasts were the best thing in the format when I had played the first 2 weeks. Poisonous Murloc, like broken, like poisonous, just kills anything. Like doesn't matter the stats, poisonous kills it. I tuned in a year and a half, 2 years later, after not playing it after 2 weeks and getting to top 200, and I was like, I can't. It's fun, but it's not. I like Standard more. 2 years later, I tune in. Guess what's still really good? Guess what's still tier 1, baby? Poisonous Murloc. I was like, they still haven't fixed this, have they? So
well, they have. They've made the changes where now
they did
Murlocs.
But we're like 3 or 4 years in.
Yep.
We're like,
yeah,
we're deeper than 2 years ago. Like, how long has Battlegrounds been? I'm curious.
Oh, gosh, it was the last in person.
It was 2019.
Yeah, so
It
4
was the
years
last
ago.
pre-COVID BlizzCon.
Okay, so 4 years. Yeah. So I'm talking like 2 years into it was still like the whatever the Megalodon card was
Gentle
that would
Megasaur?
adapt all of your Murlocs. There you go. See, you know it because that was
Yeah,
the
it
good
was. I want them to bring it back.
Yeah, see, like that was the good stuff. So like 2 years in, I was still seeing like the same stuff, and I'm just like, dude, like, while I wish I would have gone harder in Battlegrounds, don't get me wrong, a lot of people love it. Obviously it's very popular, it's very fun. I wish I would have done more with it, but at the same time, I was like, man, the same thing that was good my first 2 weeks is the same thing that's good 2 years later, and I'm like, I can't do it. Like, it's conflicting issues. Like, it's a pro and it's a con at the same time. Like, I wish I played more Battlegrounds. I wish I was better at it, but at the same time, all that.
And to your point, I mean, they tried to monetize. I mean, obviously they were like they didn't realize it was going to be nearly as big as it was, and like, crap, how do we make money off it? Then they tried to take that, like, how do we make money on these other modes, and that's why we got mercenaries. So,
Yep. Yeah. Oh God.
you did a little mercenaries, didn't you, for a while?
Yes. Yes. So I was actually top 5 in mercenaries for like the first few weeks of it, and did heavy PvP. I actually didn't get like, thank God, other people like offered me bundles, because at that time, like, I was still a very new creator, didn't have a lot of funds, was like just got out of school, and Hearthstone like didn't reach out to me for like any bundles or anything. So like, this content creators still to this day won't let me say who they were, but they gifted me their mercenary bundle for me to play the format, because there's no way you could have started without like the pre-purchase bundles, because it was a pay-to-win format, first of all. But yeah, we went into it hard. The game mode, unfortunately, was built off of spend money, and that's what your power represented. Not skill, not time spent. Like, you could spend a lot of time in there, but if someone spent more money than you, it doesn't matter. And it was just not built off the right reasons. And to this day, I still think that Battlegrounds, even though they've done some things wrong in regards to, like, if you don't have the battle pass, which you can't buy with gold, you literally don't have the same advantage because you can't pick 2 additional heroes, which is crazy to me. But like, the game mode fundamentally is built off of fun. Like, the person, like, it was just like a Hearthstone devs creative project, and then it ended up turning into like its own thing. But like, you could see where Mercenaries went wrong with just like monetization craziness. Like, your extra coins that you got couldn't even be spent on like anything. Like, imagine you opening up a Hearthstone pack, you getting a duplicate card, and there's nothing you can do with the duplicate card. That's basically what happened with Mercenaries, and they didn't even like invent or implement a strategy against that for like 2 years after it. Like, craziness. Like, what? Like, what? Like, that's insane.
And I think the biggest place they messed up with that is that they always underestimate how much people are gonna like PvP, and PvP was actually interesting and enjoyable, and the gate to get there was so massive, especially when the new heroes came and all that. So if they had before it died, before they killed it, if they would have tried to make a pivot to make PvP a lot easier to get to and pushed it more, like they had that one tournament that it was over in China, and it had a bunch of people. Had Monsanto, had Celissa, and it was like a triathlon. It had a team of standard players, it had a team of BG players, and it had a team of PvP mercenary players. And that went on for like a week, and that was some really interesting stuff. And the PvP itself was really good. They just put too big of a gate in front of it.
The thing is, if they were to release Mercenaries as it is now, it would have been successful. Like, you have protection now against opening duplicate stuff. You have like insane runs that you can do with the infinite run thing. You have a multiple of heroes. You have art. You have things to do with your dust. You have the stranger guy who isn't bugged and like is fair. You have the training dummy stuff to put your stuff. I mean, there's just like, you know what I mean? If they were to release it now, with it being like way more flushed out and it actually feeling like a new mode, I think it would have been way more successful. Like, there's no way. Like, there was bones to the game mode. Like you said, it was fun to watch. Like, the tournament and the skills it took to be good, it was there. They just tried to monetize it too early. Like, there wasn't enough of a game to make people pay for. And by the time there was enough of a skeleton of what would be something that someone would play, it was too late. That you've already tarnished the name. Like, it's just not something that somebody is going to return.
And that was my worry. Like, so that's my worry with Twist, is that I didn't. I'm very excited for the Twist format personally. I haven't played a game yet because I'm trying to get to Legend before I do. But I'm very excited for the concept of the format. But the choice they made of New Age basically was saying, "Hey, you remember all those decks you were so happy are gone? Here they are back." And that's going to make people just kind of sour on Twist, so that the next Twist format, when it comes back, and it's like, oh hey, there's something really cool about Twist, we're doing this and that, and
Doesn't
some
matter.
of us will be super excited about it, but they've already tarnished what people
Yep.
think about it. And I think that's been their biggest mistake with it on the launch.
I fully agree with you, and every other creator who's played it is on with you there. I mean, they picked literally a format we just got out of. We just got out of quests, right? Like literally just finished getting out of quests. Immediately back into a quest format. Quest mage, quest DH, quest shaman, quest druid. All of the best decks in Twist are the decks that like we just didn't want to see. Like if they would have gone like Ungoro, Mean Streets of Gadgetson, gone like Highlander decks, like literally anything else, anything, you would have had a more successful launch. I don't know who was in charge of this. I don't know, like, it hurts me to say this, but it's just, I don't know how you could have looked at this and been like, that's going to be successful. Like, and even so, it honestly, they couldn't have picked a worse format for this mode. However, I still think it has good life to it just because it rotates every month. Granted, next month it's going to be offline for a month, and then they're going to decide what they're going to do after that with the mode. It will come back, and then when it comes back, I'm assuming it will be fun. You know what I mean? Like every month it's going to be different, and I've been begging and talking about a rotating Hearthstone format for 4+ years now since I've been playing Hearthstone. I said, what? Imagine if they had a rotating format where you had 3 expansions, 2 adventure sets. It's random every month. Go. Like, just a random set. 3 expansions, 2 adventures. Every month is completely just, you see cards that would never interact together. Go. And it's not going to be wild because it's going to be limited to just those 3 expansions and those 2 mini sets. You know what I mean? So the big issue in my mind is right now you have what is basically the best decks in Wild. And those decks are the best deck in Twist. And that's not good. That's not flavorful. Like, why would you have the best decks in one format be the best decks in another format? You need Wild to be different, you need Twist to be different, and you need Standard to be different. Because you need people to want to play all of these different formats, because in Hearthstone, the only reason they invented Twist, the only reason they're even introducing this new format is to make money. And how are they going to make money is to get people to buy old packs. So this is the introduction to them to buy Twist stuff, which is older content that they've already made, in order for them to eventually go to Wild, which they'll buy even more stuff and more. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't do this out of the greatness of their hearts. They did this so you buy that they already made, and they just did it in a, like, I don't know. I'm going to get heated over this. Like, as an MBA, there's just so many things wrong with everything that I'm just like, come on, guys. Like, I play a children's card game all day. My MBA is kind of washed, but man, like, come on. Like, there's so much here, and you just get it.
Like, I like the idea of no neutrals, and I think if they had banned all quests from the start, that might have been something. But I agree with you that the limited format. But the other part, I don't think that they really took into consideration is like, hey, you want to buy old packs, but a lot of people have dusted their old cards.
Yeah, they're gone.
And now you're saying, hey, you know that stuff you bought and then you got rid of? Go buy it again. That sounds fun, right? Go do that again. And like that, I think
happen.
there's.
So is Twist not? Because how I interpreted Twist when they announced it is Twist was the reason that they said to maybe hold off on dusting cards this rotation. That's what I thought. I've heard people say otherwise, that there's something else coming with playing older cards.
Well, I don't know if we know. I know this is the reason to keep them, and it seems like this might be the reason, but I believe
Twist is
that
the reason. 100%.
Okay, but they had said in phase 2 or in the second series, so maybe I mean this kind of overlaps with that, but I could have sworn that they said it's coming in the second expansion that we're going to have something that we need the cards for. So maybe there's something else. Maybe they're saying, hey, maybe we'll give people double reason to need. Maybe we'll have a limited format or something, but probably not.
So like you, Rob, I've been wanting a rotating format or like a Hearthstone cube for so long. Like, give me Ongoro with Mean Streets and like Rosticon or something. Give me sets that have never interacted with each other and let me play them together. Like, it's something I've wanted forever. I wanted it for a while. I wanted it to replace Tavern Brawl because Tavern Brawl is just a mode that I never really touch anymore.
Useless. It's useless.
Yeah, it's just
The problem too is that any limited format they give us, the folks in marketing, and this is not a comment on the devs because I know the devs want to put out the best game they can, but I think what's going to happen is even if they give us a limited format, it's going to have the most recent cards because they want people to buy the most recent packs, and that's going to when you play those when you do that, the most recent cards are more overpowered than the older ones, so it's going to feel more like a standard format regardless. So if they're going to do something like a cube or a limited format, you really have to, I think, pull way back on the most recent sets and maybe have one or something, but also, don't have like this current year of standard or the last year of standard. Like really just let us play with,
That's
like
why,
you said, Ungoro.
So, I mean, not that I work at Blizzard, but when you're a I don't know, billion-dollar company, see, you get to run simulations. So you get to include all cards of all expansions mixed and matched in a number of different ways, and you get to run games simultaneously of all meta decks, which you have data of, by the way, which is provided for free with HS Replay, which is a like affiliate with Hearthstone. So you can just run hundreds, thousands, millions of games with every meta deck of every different like format that's ever existed, and you can just separate them through expansions, through adventure modes, click and choose what you want in there. You know what I mean? It takes work to do this. It's going to take quite a bit of coding, but you can make a formula that runs all of these games and figures out like what is going to be a very fun meta. You know what I mean? Like they have like, how could you not have the resources to do this? If I could think of this and I could like piece together this in like an Excel spreadsheet and like it would take me a few days, but I could do it. They can do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
from
there.
what we understand though, they run on a much closer to a skeleton crew than they should. Like,
Oh, for sure. They're definitely the devs. Don't get me wrong. The devs are doing everything they can. The devs love Hearthstone. Like, don't get me wrong. It when I'm speaking of like the negatives, I guess you would say, it's more towards the people who are in the, I wouldn't say C-suite, but let's just say they don't play Hearthstone. They probably don't even play games. They are just looking at numbers. And they're just like, yo, we need to make more of this, or this is the price of this bundle. You know, those people aren't the ones making the game that are calling those shots.
yeah.
You know? So. No, for sure. I have no problems with the devs or anything like that. They love the game. Like a lot of people on the dev team are previous Hearthstone pros. Like they know what they're doing. It's just, getting them the resources to do it right. And that's tough.
Yeah, well, I'm not in the creative program yet, or we're not in the creative program yet, but we do have some Discords we're in that have devs in them and stuff, and like it'll be like a Sunday night or a Saturday night, and we'll see some of these devs, and what's the game that's highlighted for their name is Hearthstone. So like they love their game. They work hard. I don't know, Doc. We're almost an hour in.
We just got done with
Blizzard would be calling it a night, but we were just getting through the interview. I think maybe let's touch briefly on the two new cards that have been revealed today for the expansion. Let's get into the main topic. We don't want to keep Warshack here all night. And that's going to bring this episode to a conclusion. It's going to be a little disjointed starting the next one because we didn't actually plan for a split, but it'll be out in a couple days, so hopefully it'll sound okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Slide two brothers meet one another when they slide up to the mic. It's bread and butter with one another. Let's start up that recording light.